Well, speaking of wrestling during the holidays, we do have lots of questions to get to, but let's talk about some of the wrestling that aired on TV that you actually watched. I guess AEW and WWE content you watched over the last week.
Well, no, I didn't watch any WWE content. I watched Paul Heyman content. Because what did you say to me the other day on the phone? What is the end game of this? An Oscar nomination? Paul Heyman? Because what? I mean, it's insane. The care that he took to put this thing together. Of course, we're talking about it was on Smackdown, Christmas Eve. The first thing you see after a recap of the previous week where Roman Reigns fired Paul and gave him the Superman punch, and we come to find out that, Paul has been protecting Roman Reigns, he says, from Brock Lesnar. So he does a sit down with Caleb Braxton, and he's sitting there and he hasn't shaved in a couple of days, and he hasn't dyed his hair, so he's got the gray roots, and he just looks disheveled, and his lip was quivering, and he was low key, and he was, telling the story of how he told the truth to Roman Reigns, but it was truth he didn't want to hear, and so as a result, Paul said, I got embarrassed and humiliated publicly for telling the truth. And well, he should have known all these years he's never done it. Right? The one time he tells the truth in public, he's embarrassed and humiliated. But that was it was a tremendous sit-down interview where basically it was an oratory from Paul, where he again still calls into question what his motivations were and whose side he's really on. He said that Roman Reigns was the greatest champion of all time, but needed to be protected from Brock. And that he's sipping water. He's introspective. Is his career over? One of the fucking goof mark sites actually put up a headline, Paul Heyman released from WWE. Did you? Because somebody
I did not see that. No.
Somebody on Twitter said, look at this.
Well, that's ridiculous.
But he was so, I mean, you would want to believe these things that he's saying because there was so much feeling and depth and emotion in it. And then I wrote, I can't believe that they're doing Brock and Reigns on New Year's Day on a first-time pay-per-view and not Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. But then again, there's going to be some life in this. This is not the last time these two are going to fucking wrestle. I'm scared, as I say, that it might turn into a three-way or some kind of goofiness. But this is brilliant because the people, the only way you can make Brock and Roman brand new is the discussion and the controversy and the question over what's Heyman going to do, whose side is he on, and how's he going to come out of this. And it's fucking great because he's carrying the whole thing. Reigns and Brock, neither one was on this show. You didn't see, I asked you about it, they did a video package later on in the program on Heyman, and they went all the way back to WCW and ECW footage when he was young and had hair and fairly slim, not attractive, but slim. And they showed footage of the botched invasion angle and basically not saying that they botched it, saying Paul's invasion failed. But then, the story of him being with Brock, and then finally, when Brock is done, the voiceover was Heyman was rescued from obscurity by Roman Reigns and has been the tribal council. So they painted the picture, which is, adds to the thing that Paul E has always been in the mix as a mad scientist, and what kind of deal can he put together and who can he latch on to? And finally he's had this run with Reigns, but now what's going to happen? And is Paul's career over? And so it was a great package again for the angle, and the whole controversy is around what the manager is going to do and how he's going to play into it. So they don't have to do incessant physical angles between these two where one beats one up one week and the other one beats the other up the other week. And by the time they have the match, you don't give a shit because you've already seen them beat each other up. I love it. Having said, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because for years, way back in the early 90s, there was always a little bit of competition between you and Heyman, and it was always kind of a runaway thing. You were the better manager. And Paulie Dangerously was really good, but after a while, there was a shelf life, and it didn't make sense anymore. That character, the psycho yuppie. As soon as Paul started lying in front of the camera, the way he lied to people who worked for him or he was trying to get a deal with or whoever it was, whenever he took that real Paul Heyman and applied that in a suit to his on-air character, he crossed the line from just being another really good manager to being like all-time level.
Yeah.
He's right now doing the best work of his career by far, but extraordinary stuff for anyone.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it in the same vein as, I couldn't be the mama's boy. I mean, look at Paul's, we've said this before, he's either 3 or 4 years younger than me, or 4 or 5, whatever it is, but he couldn't be the psycho yuppie forever, and I couldn't really be the mama's boy forever. And both of us, well, actually, I took a break that didn't really end, but he took a long break from managing or doing anything in performing wise in wrestling. And by the time he came back, he was older, but also he was wiser and smarter even. And, it's more him. Like if I was doing something now, it would be more me. And this is, like I'm doing this show now, and this is more me. I still seem to stir people up, but I'm not out here just doing it. My mama said, whatever. And like you said with Paul, this is way more him than the psycho yuppie was. He may have been psycho, but not in that way. But Paul is a master manipulator and a verbal con artist that twists and lies and spins and prevaricates and whatever he does to get people to do what he wants them to do. And that's who he is on TV. And that's perfect. So it's natural and believable now. And, and I've always said about Paul, when Paul was the psycho yuppie, he was always trying to be vicious, right? He always had the bass in his voice. He would pop a vein. I'm going to kill you. And I always say, back up a little bit and do something a little different every once in a while. Every once in a while, I was joking and laughing, or every once in a while I was scared and crying, or whatever. Now with Paul, he shows the entire range of emotions and phrases it in the manner in which that Paul would phrase things if he was trying to speak to you in a personal conversation. So, but I get, as we all get older and we figure out more shit, anybody who continues performing has more of themselves in everything. And now it's the perfect wrestling combination. There's really not much difference between Paul on TV and Paul in person.
You know why this is also great? WWE TV sucks.
Yes.
But with this, what's going to happen? Who's he turning on? I literally have no idea how they're going to play this out, and I want to see it.
Yeah. And also, it's worth DVRing this crummy show to zip through it and see if you get 5 to 8 minutes of Paul Heyman. So that was that on Smackdown for the WWE. But like I said, we are going to check out Panic in the Year Zero, or whatever what is it, Day One, on January the 1st, and we'll talk about it next week on the program.